So last week we were discussing about the third chapter. We have begun the third chapter. In that, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is discussing about the Anartha Nivṛtti. So he mentioned that the Anarthas can arise out of four things. One is because of sinful activities. If we perform sinful activities, the result of that, we will get some Anarthas in our heart. And if we perform pious activities also, we can get Anarthas. That is the enjoying mentality. And third one is because of offenses. When we perform bhakti, we may commit some offenses, and that offenses will result in some Anarthas in the heart. The fourth one is when we are performing bhakti itself, some byproducts will come, such as labha, puja, pratishta, that is respects given by others, glorification, all these things. So those are also considered anarthas. So in this way, he classified four anarthas. And then he also mentioned that what is a sin? In the context of that, if we are performing bhakti, if we start a particular anga of bhakti and then we don't complete it, then it is not considered a sin, because the definition of sin is activity that is condemned and that has a prayaschitta given by the Vedic scriptures. And that activity should be considered as a sinful activity. Other activities like, starting the bhakti activity and then stopping in between, that's not actually a sinful activity. In the karma marga, however, if you start a particular activity, if you don't complete it, you don't get any result. You get zero result. But in bhakti marga, you start a particular anga of bhakti, and then you don't complete it also, you get still results. In the same way, in karma marga, according to your varna and ashrama, you are supposed to perform certain angas every day. Nitya karmas, they are called, like pancha mahayagya or Gayatri Vandanam, all these things. If you don't perform, you'll get sin. But in the bhakti marga, if you don't perform all the angas, if you perform just only one anga, say I'm just doing chanting or something like that, then you still don't, you are still on the path to success. You are not going to get sin because of that. So then he quoted a verse from Bhagavatam saying that if in the path of bhakti, if somebody closes his eyes and then runs very fast, he won't still fall down. The highway of bhakti is so safe that you can just close your eyes and then you can just run. You don't even get slipped, and then you don't get fallen down as well. So here he is going into detail in the interpretation of that particular verse. So we'll start from here. Nacha dhavan nimilya iti etadeva dvatringshat aparadha abhavam api krodi karoti iti vachyam yan bhagavata proktan upayan ashritya uktatvat. So somebody may interpret the verse saying that in the verse, Lord is saying, close your eyes. Even if you close your eyes. So that means you should not commit 32 offenses in the path of bhakti. So when you are worshipping a deity, you could commit 32 types of offenses, which are listed in Nectar of Devotion. So what Bhagavan is saying here in this verse is that if closing the eyes means you should not commit those offenses, don't give some other interpretation. So this is the objection of the opponent. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that is not the case, because Lord already said, follow the way I have prescribed it. So when the Lord prescribed it, that statement itself is enough to indicate that it should be without offenses. So by describing the bhakti process, it is implicit that you should not commit offenses. There is no need to explicitly state another statement to say that you shouldn't commit offenses. It's very detailed. If you don't understand it also, it's fine. Yanaihi va padukaihi va api gamanam bhagavad grihe ityadyaha tu tatra nishiddha eva. So he gives an example of the 32 offenses, which are also listed in Hari Bhakti Vilas. The first offense is you should not enter the temple in a palanquin. Neither you should enter the temple with slippers on. So then that is actually forbidden, when we are performing bhakti. Seva aparadhe tu harer api aparadhanyah kurya dvipada pangshanaha ityadishu shruyante eva nindaha. So it is also condemned that if you perform offenses while doing deity worship, then that person is considered to be a two-legged animal. This is talking about intentional offense. So because of these statements, we don't need to consider that there should be separately, the Lord should state, one should not commit 32 offenses. It is already implicitly stated. Kimcha te nama pradhaga prachinaha arvachinaha va yadi samyak anabhignata prakaraha siyuhu kintu tat phala lingena anumiyamanaha eva tada tesham namabhi eva ashranta prayuktaihi bhakti nishtayam utpadyamanayam kramena upashamaha. So sometimes we may have committed offenses in the past, or even during, present also, but without knowing it. We didn't even realize that we have committed some offenses. But then we can see the result of the offenses. How? We have lack of taste for performing bhakti. So if we continuously perform bhakti activity and we still see that we are not seeing any improvement or lack of taste for performing bhakti, then that is actually a result of offenses committed. The offenses, it could be very old, even in previous birth, or even in this birth, in the past, last year or before that, or even recently also, we could have committed some offenses, but we just didn't realize it is an offense. So because of that, we are not getting taste for bhakti. Through the result, we are able to infer that. So in that case, what he says is you should just do continuously incessant chanting of the holy names. And by achieving nishtha, steadiness in bhakti, all these things will go away gradually. It will take a longer time because of the offenses. Yadi te nyayante eva tadatu asti kvachit kaschit visheshaha. But if you know that you have committed some offense, then there are special things you need to take care, special remedial measures you need to do. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is going to talk about the 10 offenses you could commit in performing bhakti and what are all the remedial measures for different types of offenses next. Yatha satam ninda iti dashasu namnaha pratamaha aparadaha. So the first aparada is satam ninda. So here is the full verse. Satam ninda namna parama aparadham vitanute yatakyatim yatam katamu sahate tad vigarham. So it says satam ninda. It's a criticism of the devotees. Namnaha paramam aparadham. It is a great offense to the holy name vitanute. Why? Yataha, because kyatim yatam katamu sahate tat vigarham. So one who spreads the glories of the holy name, kyatim yatam, or one who glorifies the holy name, how can the holy name tolerate that person being criticized? Suppose if I glorify the holy name and somebody comes and criticizes me, how can the holy name tolerate that criticism? Because I'm engaged in the glorification or service of the holy name. It is like a master is sitting and his servant is sitting and somebody is randomly coming and criticizing the servant and the master cannot keep quiet. He has to stop that. So that is why, criticism of the devotees is a great offense. Tatra ninda idi anena dvesha drohadeha api upalakshante. So what does criticism mean? He is explaining criticism also includes having a hatred mentality, dvesha. You hate somebody, some devotee. That is also criticism. Drohadeya. Droha is malice. You have some, some intention to take revenge on particular devotee or something like that. So that is also a part of criticism. And Sridhara Swami in this verse, he says, Ninda means dosha kirtihi. That means if you just speak out the faults of some devotee, then that is also criticism. So that is the definition of criticism. If you speak the faults of somebody, the faults can be there in that devotee or may not be there. It doesn't matter. But you just speaking about that faults, you're actually criticizing the person. And here Vishwanath Chakravarti includes further two more things, that you have hatred mentality for a particular Vaishnava, or you have a revenge mentality for a particular Vaishnava, then that is also part of the criticism. Tatakacha daivat tasmin aparadhe jate hanta pamarena maya sadhusu aparadham iti anutaptaha janaha. So suppose accidentally you criticize a devotee without even realizing that you are, committing that offense. Sometimes you may be doing some service, and then, in the spirit of the service, we may just criticize the devotee without realizing that we are actually criticizing the devotee. So what should we do in that case? He says, Daivat. Daivat means by fate, not by your own intention. By fate it has happened. So he says, Hanta pamarena maya sadhushu aparadam idi anutaptaga janaha. One should first of all lament or repent. Oh, alas, I am a low-class person. I have committed an offense to this sadhu. So in this repentance, we actually, go through that pain. Anutaptaha is literally burning oneself. So basically, we are going through that pain. He gives a quotation, Krishanau shamyati taptaha krishanuna eva ayam. So if somebody is burnt by a fire, then the solution is that fire is the actual solution. So I'm not sure what exactly this is speaking about, but this seems to tell about an Ayurvedic procedure where if somebody has got burnt by a fire, then probably some medicine made out of fire is given to that person, and that cures the thing. So basically what is it implying is that if you have given pain to other, the pain, undergoing oneself the pain through repentance is the solution. Iti nyayena tat pada agre eva nipatya prasadayami iti vishanna chetasa pranati stuti samanadibihi tasya upashamaha karyaha. So what we should do after repentance, we should go to the devotee. In front of the feet of the devotee, we should just fall down. And then we should say, we should prasadayami, which is basically, we should please that devotee. I'm here to please you. We should say that. And then with Vishanna Chetasa. Vishanna is self-loathing, I suppose. 1 second. Yeah, so it is with a dejected heart. So with a dejected heart, one should approach the devotee and then should satisfy him by pranati, by doing obeisances, stuti, by glorifying that devotee, samana, by giving respects to the devotee. So by all these things, one should upashama, is pacify the devotee. That is the karya, that is what it should be done. Kadachit kasyachana kaihi api duspradhaniyatve bahudinamapi tan mana abirochani anuvrittihi karya. But if some cases, in some time, by some devotee, if he is not pleased, even after you do all these activities, what you should do? Then he says you should continue that activity for multiple days, in the sense of you should try to please the devotee for many days until that devotee gets pleased. Aparadhasya ati mahatvat katanchit taya api anivartitya Satya kopatve dhik mam akshina bhakta aparadham niraya kotishu patantam iti nirvidya sarvam parityajya samashraya आश्रयनीयाः नाम संकीर्तन संततिः तयाच महाशक्तिमत्या अवश्यम एव काले ततः स्यादेव उद्धारः. Suppose the offense we have committed to the devotee is so great that the person doesn't get pacified, his anger doesn't go away. Then what should we do? He says, Dhik mam, fee on me, or how else to say? I'm just a lowly class person. One should lament like this. Akshina bhakta aparadam niraya kotishu patantam. And I'm full of offenses to the devotees, which is inexhaustible. And because of that, I'm going to fall down to so many hellish life. Like that, one should consider oneself. And then Nirvidya sarvam parityajya, becoming indifferent to everything, giving up the material life, one should take to the process of chanting the holy name continuously. And if one does that, because of the holy name's power, that aparadha will also be destroyed. In the future, you'll be delivered. So no need to worry about that. That's what he's saying. Kimme muhu eva pada patana adibhigi swapakarša svikarena nama aparadha yuktanam namani eva haranti aghamiti asya eva parama upayaha saha eva samashraniyah iti bhavanayam purvavati eva punarapi nama aparadha. But suppose somebody thinks like this, why should I go and ask forgiveness from the devotee, and then I should accept a low dejected mindset? Let me just take the holy name, because it is said that even if you chant the holy name with offenses, it is going to destroy all the sins. So because of that, I consider holy name is the best. Let me just take shelter of the holy name. I'm not going to ask forgiveness to anyone, or try to please the devotee whom I have offended. If one thinks like that, then again he is committing a nama aparadha, because on the strength of the holy name, namno baladesya papa buddhihi. So we are committing sin on the strength of the holy name. So one should definitely go and ask forgiveness to the devotee before continuing to perform the nama sankirtan. Nacha kripaluhu akrita drohaha titikshuku sarvadehinam ityadi sampurna dharmakaha eva santaha teshameva ninda aparadaha iti vachyam. So sometimes we quote this verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 11:11-29. So here Krishna is describing the qualities of a Vaishnava. So he says, Sri Bhagavan Vacha, Kripaluhu Akrita Drohaha. Kripaluhu is merciful. Akrita Drohaha. He does not have any malice. Titikshuhu. He is he forgives. Sarvadehinam. He forgives everyone. Satyasaraha. He is truth personified. Anavadya Atma. So Anavadya. Yeah, so he is basically free from all envy, jealous, and so on. Samaha, he is equal to everyone. Sarva upakarakaha, it is the well-wisher of everyone. So, and then he goes on listing out the things. So we may say, actually, this person is a Vaishnava. And offending a person with all these qualities is actually only aparadha. Not, some other devotee who may have faults in him. So that is not actually criticism. I can just criticize, that is fine, those devotees. But only devotee with these kind of qualities, I should not criticize. If one says like that, Vishwanath Chakravarti says, no, that is not the case. He gives a counter verse. Sarva achara vivarjitaha shata diyaha vratyaha jagad vanchakaha iti tat prakarana vartina vachanena tadrusha dushcharitanam api bhagavantam vajatam kaimuttika nyayena sat shabdavachyattvena suchitatvat. So this is a quotation from Padma Purana, where it says that Krishna is saying, if a person who has given up all the acharas, all the good conducts, and he is not having good intelligence also, and he is not following any of the vows, and he is desirous of the whole world. So if that person also takes to bhakti process, he should also be considered a devotee. Krishna says this. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, so by this, Krishna is indicating, Kaimutya Nyayika means, then what else to say about those devotees who don't have bad characters, They may have faults, but they are not, following all the bad activities. Even if Lord is ready to accept a person who is committing all bad activities as his devotee, if it surrenders to the lotus feet of the Lord, what to speak of regular devotees who may have faults, but they are not so bad as this verse describes. So even those devotees should also be considered as devotees, and committing offenses to them is also an offense. Kimcha kashchit. Okay, before continuing, is there any question, comments, reflections?
Vishnu Prabhu, very nice translation. I was just wanted to comment on one thing. You mentioned something about something made by the fire helps to heal from fire burn, and that is ghee, because ghee is made out of fire, and if ghee is applied in any soft burn, it helps to cure.
Oh, I see. Thank you. That makes sense. So, Desiki Mataji, yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada. Thank you so much for having this nice discourse, Prabhu. So, my question is about Vaishnava Ninda. You mentioned about even if you are saying any faults of any devotee, that is also, criticism which should be avoided. And in certain places where in a service where bringing something, to the knowledge of the authority, so that there are no further conflicts or quarrels, so as to that authority might play as a mediator to not further that kind of negativity which is going on is needed. So what is your view on that?
Yeah, so this is a instance of where we are trying to resolve an issue with some devotee we are facing. So this there has to be secrecy maintained. Suppose you are informing a higher authority to resolve an issue with a particular devotee, then you should just go and talk to that higher authority in a private manner, instead of a person is being publicly criticized. So we are talking about unnecessary talks of faults on another devotee. So let's say somebody is not behaving good, and then I will just call a random person my friend, and I will just talk about it. So then that is actually a criticism, because what am I doing with talking to my friend? I'm just talking bad about other devotees so that I will feel good about it. I feel superior or something like that. That's not, that's the criticism. But if you are trying to resolve the issue, first of all, we should give up our hatred mentality that devotee may have acted against us, but we should not hold a grudge against the devotee. Then to resolve, with the full purpose of resolving that issue, we approach the senior, and then in confidence, we speak to that devotee to resolve the whole issue. That is fine.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Okay, moving on. Kimcha kashchit mahabhagavatatvat mahaparadhini api yadyapi na kupyati tad api tatra aparadhavata swashiddhyartam pranatyadibihi anuvartaniyaha eva saha. Suppose the devotee is a great devotee, Mahabhagavata, he says, and then you perform a very great offense to that devotee. That devotee doesn't get angry at all. We have the example of Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur was beaten up in the market by the Muslim soldiers. Still, he did not get angry to the Muslim soldiers. So sometimes we may criticize a devotee, we may offend a devotee, then that devotee may not get angry at us. So what should we do? Should we ask forgiveness or not? He says, still you should go and ask forgiveness and just glorify him, offer obeisances, and give all respects. Why? Here is the Bhagavatam verse 4:13. Nascharya etad yat asatsu sarvada. So the context is Sati is speaking. So Sati went to Daksha's Yagya Shala, where Daksha is offending Lord Shiva by not giving any offering of the Yagya to Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva initially asked Sati to not go to that Yagya, but still Sati insisted, and then she went there. And then once she went there, she wasn't received properly by his father. He didn't even care. He felt he was showing indifference to Sati because Sati is the wife of Shiva. And after that, she also sees that there was no offering for Shiva made in that yagya. She got so angry that she started speaking this verse. Na ascharyam etad yad asatsu sarvada mahad vininda kunapa atmavadishu. She says the offense, criticism of the great devotees is actually in there people who are very bad people, and there is no surprise about it. We don't need to wonder about it. It is natural that the bad people will be criticizing the great devotees. And who are those bad people? Kunapa atmavadishu. They are consider their body as their self, the body which is a dead matter as their own self, and they will continue to criticize the devotees all the time. Sersham, they are filled with envy in their heart. Maha Purusha Pada Pangsubihi Nirasta Tejasu. So the dust at the lotus feet of the great devotee who is being criticized, that dust, because of that dust, they will lose all the tejas, all the power, you can say. So the people who are criticizing. Tadeva Shobhanam, and that is perfect, apt for them. So this verse Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur is quoting, and then he says, Iti satam vakena tat charana renunam asakashnutaya tat phala pradatto avagamat. So because the devotee did not get angry, one may say that, that offense won't come to me because he didn't get offended. I mean, even though I offended him, he didn't get offended. But he says the dust at his feet, that gets angry. And then that gives the effect of that result, which means, that literally you can take dust, as well as you can also take that, that devotee is being praised by other devotees. They will get angry and they will give you the result. Even the dust can also give you that result. So we should not think that that devotee did not get offended and simply go on committing criticism. We will still get the result. Okay, we'll stop here. We'll continue from here next week. Any other question or comment final before we close?
Prabhu, sorry, I got a little distracted, but what was that example related to fire which Aniṣṭhita Bhakti clarified?
So the example, the quotation Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur was mentioning is, for a fire burn, you should use fire to cure it. I mentioned, I don't know what is this. So Aniruddha Prabhu mentioned that it is the ghee is the solution, because ghee is heated up in fire, then that is the solution. That's what he says.
Oh, okay.
Anything to say, Prabhu?
No, I think that's good, Prabhu. Good to know. Thanks.
Thank you. Anuradha Chalamataji. Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat
Pranam.
Prabhuji, I have one doubt. Like some senior devotees are like they are doing very good service. They are really very good. Sometimes if we make an accidentally mistake, but not intentionally, so they will get like a temper on us, like So that time we will feel like, oh, I haven't done by me, it happened accidentally, but still devotees using harsh words. But later I'll tell to myself, okay, no, it's okay, but they're really maybe they couldn't control or something, they're using that word like that. I use we will say, but initially we will get like upset or some, why these devotees said.
Oh, some
That's
other
what,
devotee is criticizing you, some senior devotee, and then you got upset. Is that what you're saying?
right, Prabhuji. So the very beginning, later I'll tell to myself, okay, it's okay, because like they're senior devotees, they are doing a lot of devotional service. um, Maybe they're by accidentally or something like that. Later I will tell to myself, but the beginning, that mind won't come in my that kind of point won't come in mind, Prabhuji. So is it also comes offense? I
No,
have
that
a
is a
doubt.
natural. If somebody is criticizing us, we get disturbed in our heart. That is natural. That is fine. But we should not hold any grudge against that devotee. And that's, I mean, as you mentioned, that is fine. You are not holding any grudge against that person. And also, we should see if he is really senior in bhakti, then he is giving us good instructions in the form of that, for us to correct in the future. Or we can talk to the devotee also to see, if it's repeatedly happening, then we should talk to the devotee. If it is just a one-time instance here and there, then we should just take it as an instruction for ourselves, or by bad karma, getting criticized or whatever. Then leave it at that instead of holding grudge against them. That is fine. But it is natural that if somebody criticizes us, that we get disturbed in our mind at this stage.
Yes, Prabhuji. And one more thing, Prabhuji, like if you heard from someone else, like you are not intentionally talking about devotee, okay, this devotee has done something like that, you're not talking. But when when you're talking to some other devotee, like if they're talking about that, usually I mean, we called casually to some other devotees, so they are talking about, they brought this topic, like a criticizing, maybe, okay, that devotee has done like this, so that time, how can, like, do I need to say, please don't talk like that, I don't want to hear anything? Do I need to say like that, or how to escape from that, Prabhuji?
Yeah, I mean, we should not hear the offenses of the Vaishnavas. We should close our ears. But there are many ways to deal with it. The practical way is sometimes letting the other devotee talk if he's really hurt by something, and then he's just telling his hurt feelings, and that's a different thing. We can just hear to that devotee and then listen to him and then, console him. But if he's just criticizing without any purpose, oh, that random devotee has done something, that something like that, then we can just either switch the topic, or we can just, humbly leave that discussion. If he's your friend, then it is better to switch the topic so that you don't unnecessarily hear criticism about a random devotee. But if he's talking about himself or herself being hurt by a particular incident within the devotee community, you can hear him or hear her to console that person. But if it is just a pure criticism, then we shouldn't be hearing it. Shankarananda Prabhu, you would like to add anything?
No, Prabhu, I think you made the perfect thing. Yes, best thing is to excuse yourself from that conversation and move away if it is being unnecessary criticism.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhu.
Is that helpful, Anartha Chalamataji?
Yes, Prabhuji, definitely. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Dandavat.
Hare Krishna. Jai Dhanatpranam.
Thank you, bro.
Hare Krishna.